Howdy everybody! Welcome to another episode of Dulcimerica. My name is Futch, and on my lap I have got a Fullcraft Instruments Resonator mountain dulcimer. It's a chromatic model, a signature edition, slick, awesome, and they built this for me when I was on my way to the International Blues Challenge in Memphis, Tennessee, where a lot of people, blues aficionados and other folks who are really into blues music, all lusted after this instrument. And it's a fantastic instrument, and many of you out there have picked up resonators and are looking at the thing going, really, what am I supposed to do with this? So I'm here to kind of shed some light on some of the things you can do. Now, if you've picked up your mountain dulcimer from Fullcraft, it has come set up with a diatonic fretboard, more than likely, and it has got these gauge strings on there that are very comparable to the gauge strings you would have on a standard mountain dulcimer. And that'll work fine, and you can play it that way with the action set the way it is, and it'll sound great. In fact, it'll sound really old-timey with that resonator cone doing its thing, and it'll be real loud, so you can sit next to the banjo player or the fiddle player and still be heard in the jam. Play it just like that. Now, what they'll also do at Fullcraft is they will set the nut of the instrument so that it can be raised and lowered. So the low position will be playing normal standard dulcimer, but then it can be raised up for playing slide. The way I like to do it is to be able to play slide and play standard at the same time, and that's how a lot of blues musicians did it. So their action was a little higher than normal, but it was also low enough to where they could still fret notes. But you still want to get that action up so you're not buzzing against the fretboard. And the way I've got it set up right now is for 4 strings equidistant. And the way yours will come if it has the raised and lower nut options, it'll be for a 3-string setup. And to do some of the stuff I wanted to do with the resonator, I chose to go with 1 action level, kind of a medium, and also chose to go with 4 strings. So there are a lot of different things that you can do for your style preference. But if you want to play slide and mainly slide, the one thing I will recommend is you're going to take those string gauges and bump them up quite a bit, because when you get that slide on there, they'll buzz and they won't have enough tension. O'Malley, what are you doing? Are you trying to knock the tripod over? Come here. You want to get on camera? Come here. Don't knock the camera over. You must come here and get... Now you're going to ignore me. Okay. Never mind. No O'Malley cameo for this video, unless he wants to. Anyway, you're really going to want to bump those string gauges up so that you can get nice response with the slide. So right now, I have got on there 32 for the bass string. I've got a 28, I believe, for, well, bass string, middle string doesn't really apply here, so we're going to go strings 1, 2, 3, 4, coming from the bass over. 1, 2, 3, 4. String 1 has got a 32. String 2 has got a 28, I believe. String 3 has an 18. And then string 4 has a 15. So it's pretty tight on there. But that's exactly what you want when you're playing the slide. Now, first, what kind of slide are you going to want to work with? You see me using this one right here. It's a finger slide, and I'm using it on my index finger. Because of the way we play mountain dulcimer with our fingers down like this, putting it on your pinky, which is what guitarists will do so they can fret and bring the slide in behind, is not going to work for us. It's not going to do us any good back there. So in my experimentation, I've discovered that putting it on the index finger works real well, because then you can still fret your chords down here, you know. And then come in and play your slide action. But if you're not really interested in doing it that way, you can either get one of those ring slides and hold it in your hand, or you can get one of these pedal steel slides or lap steel slides. And these are preferable because they've got a little notch running right down the top there for your finger to rest on. And the sides are contoured so that the thumb and the middle finger can hang on to it like that. Grab my pick. You lay it on the strings and go to town. The problem with these slides, however, is that you have to keep readjusting. They'll start to loosen up in your hand a bit, and so you see players when they play they do like this to get it centered back where they want it to. And that might be a pain in the butt for some of you, but this is one way to go, is to use that pedal or lap slide. But I like putting it on my index finger so that it doesn't go anywhere. And this is a 12.5 on this brass slide. It's a little big, but I'd rather have it a little big than too tight. So I have some movement in my hand there, and just use it on the finger like this. So you're going to end up with a whole bunch of slides experimenting to find which one's going to work best for you and what materials are going to work best for you. I found that the brass slide on this instrument works really well. I tried Pyrex, which is kind of a glass. I tried ceramic. I tried stainless steel, chrome, you name it. And I ended up going with the brass. So it all depends on your personal taste and what you're looking for. This is a Dunlop 224 brass slide. Again, it's a 12.5. They have them in smaller sizes for smaller fingers, so have a look at that. Let's now take a look at the tuning I'm using. I'm tuned in D, A, D, F sharp. So you have your normal DAD set up, so your chord shapes will still apply. DAD is what we call a 1-5-8 tuning, based on each note of the scale. If each note of the scale has a number assigned to it, 1 through 7, then 1 would stand for the first note of the scale. For the D major scale, we've got a 1, that's D, the 5 is A, and 8 is the D octave above the root. So 1-5-8. What I've added in there is an F sharp, that's the third. So we have the possibility of playing chords in fifths across the strings. Five chords, or power chords as they're known, but I can also bring in the major third, and I can play triads using strings 2 through 4. And that is part of an open D tuning for guitar. And since I only have 4 strings here, I decided to use the ones that would give me the most mileage as far as options. So D, A, D, F sharp is the tuning. Now this is a chromatic setup. You might say to yourself, well, if I have a diatonic setup, I don't need all those extra frets down there. And that's true, because you can go to the middle of your wide spaces on the frets and still get that half step. The reason I chose to go chromatic is because I want to be able to eyeball exactly where those notes are located. No guesswork necessary at all to see where all those steps are. And playing chromatic is fun, so that's why I went with an all chromatic setup on this instrument. Let's talk a little bit about where you should put the slide when you're playing and how you should handle these fingers back over here. First and foremost is, normally when we fret on a mountain dulcimer, we're pressing down just to the left of the fret to get the best tone, just to the left of each fret. When you're playing slide, however, you want to get that slide directly over the top of the fret to get that tone. Directly over the top of the fret. And that might take some getting used to, and you may have to rewire your brain a little bit to make that happen, but you want to be directly over the top of the fret. The other thing you want to do is use the fingers behind the finger with the slide on it to rest upon the strings. That's damping the strings. It won't change a whole lot as far as your tone, because this finger is the most important. What these fingers behind the slide finger will do is they will keep the rattling down to a minimum, If I don't dampen, you can hear. Now if I lay those fingers down behind the slide, it's a lot quieter and more controlled. But some people do prefer to have that rattly sound in there. It just kind of gives them more of a cool vibe. So again, it's all down to personal preference what you want to do with that. But I like to dampen to kind of clarify what's going on. So there's that. All right. Something else I want to go over is I'm not playing on that string number 4 all the time. Sometimes I'm playing some minor-y stuff and I'm doing other things. So this is really where you start getting into selective strumming and picking. And a lot of the times I'm avoiding that 4th string and playing everything on the other 3 strings and then bringing in that 4th string. You may not choose to go with this configuration, so you may not even have to work with it. But to my ears and to my specifications, this is how I wanted to go in order to try and learn how to play authentic blues on the mountain dulcimer. Let's look at some effects here real quick. One of the nice things about slide is that if you don't hit the note right off the bat, you can just kind of move your finger to where that note needs to be. And then you move it back and forth to get that vibrato. And so it doesn't matter if you hit the note right on, because the vibrato action of moving the slide back and forth is going to keep taking you in and out of the targeted pitch, so you can get away with being a little shy of the mark. So I've got this set up in home key of D. Blues in general is a 1-4-5 chord progression. Again, those numbers dealing with the numbers in the scale. So 1 being D, 4 being G, and 5 being A. Those are the 3 basic chords if you're going to be playing blues in D. So it's important to know where you can slide the bar in order to get those chords across the board. And so the first thing you're going to want to know is that the 5th fret is where the 4 chord lives, and that's G. So sliding from D up to the 5th fret to get your 4 chord. And then sliding out of it to get to your 1. To get your 5 chord, the A, you're going to want to go up here to the 7th fret. And bring it on down to your 4 chord at the 5th fret. And then back to the 1 chord open. Another important thing to know is where your minor pentatonic scale is, and that's going to be starting at the 3rd fret. So you can get some lick notes, some soloing notes in there, and also use the 3rd fret to hang out. Now think about this. This is a minor pentatonic. We're in the key of D. The 3rd note of the D major scale is F sharp, but we want to take that down a half step to F. So F lives right there at the 3rd fret. So while you're bouncing around, you can get in there and you can get some solo notes that are going to work along with this tuning. So if I put some of that stuff together now, what I'll end up doing is I'll strum a little bit. Or actually, let me do something like this. I'm thinking hill country. Let's do something more like this. Get a little shuffle rhythm in there. Let me do a little song. How about this? Driving late one night, had too much to drink. I got behind the wheel and I didn't stop to think. Go to your 4 chord. Driving late one night, had too much to drink. I got behind the wheel, didn't stop to think. So I'm using my 1-4-5 chords, D, G, and A, for those changes when they come along. And then I'm coming over here to the 3rd fret to start soloing out of that minor pentatonic. And the other notes are all there, but this is sort of an introduction to getting into playing on the Resonator slide style. So I want to give you just that to work with. So my recommendation to you, if you have a Resonator and you want to play the slide style, is first, research what kind of slide you want to use. Go ahead and buy a whole bunch of them because you might find you like one better than the other. And make sure you know what your finger size might be. Read all that stuff. I got all my slides on eBay, and they tell you, it's this size, that size. Or if you can, go on down to a music store and try some slides on. Now maybe you want to wear it on the middle finger. It's all up to you, personal preference. But I do find that the index finger works really good for being able to fret and play as well. After you do that, if you're going to go ahead and play slide, then go ahead and get some heavier gauges on the instrument. So that sounds real good. I went through a very, very long period of time trying to mess with those original strings, and it wasn't working. And after talking to some really awesome blues guitarists, they suggested I bump those gauges up. And I like what I've got there now. And if you'd like to talk more to me about what gauges to get and some other possibilities, definitely drop me an email at bingfutch@yahoo.com. So, you got your strings, you got your slide, and if you have that low and high nut set up on your dulcimer, but want to go ahead and get into a position where you can both play normally and slide the instrument, work with the low setting for now, and then see if you can get a new nut ordered up that will be set up for both. And Nick Young at Fullcraft set this up absolutely perfectly. You don't have to mess with the bridge at all. Just change the nut to make it all work for you. And then once you got those things, just go to town and have some fun exploring and try different tunings too. Maybe you just want to do DAD and have fun with that since you already know some tunes. Practice sliding. And I think you'll find that you'll enjoy your experience with your Resonator mountain dulcimer and maybe even take it further than you ever possibly could have imagined. And again, any questions, please drop me a line at bingfutch@yahoo.com. By the way, I'm wearing this cool t-shirt that's a Bigfoot holding a mountain dulcimer, courtesy of John and Karen Keene of Shreveport, Louisiana. And they've got some albums out. They've got all kinds of cool stuff on their Facebook page, and they've got music available through a lot of different outlets online. So look them up. That's John and Karen Keene, Keane. And they sent this t-shirt in so I could wear it here on Dulcimerica. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, play on. O'Malley, were you ever going to come over here?